Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. First up for D&D today, I have my I'm Just a Woman with a Master's Degree That Loves Tacos mug. Again, one of these things is true about me. You can decide which one it is for yourself. And inside of it, I have some Celestial Seasonings Tension Tamer tea. I don't really know why. I was in a mood today, and it seemed like a good idea, and it tastes very good. So this is what I got. This is one of my good friends and players' favorite kinds of teas, and so she would highly recommend it. I also highly recommend it. So check it out if you are interested in that. It's a herbal tea. It's a like deeper-ish kind of flavor, and so it's very good for sort of end of day kind of times, I guess, when you're trying to more wind down than wind up. But enough about tea, even though kind of the premise is tea in some regard on this show. First off, I want to give a massive thank you to my patrons and to everybody really, but to my patrons in particular for your continued support of this show, of me. I really do appreciate it so very much. If you're interested in becoming a patron and you aren't one already, there's a link to my Patreon in the description of this episode. But you guys are the reason that I am able to continue to make this show, make it better, keep it going as it does. And you guys are the reason that I have this fancy new microphone here. So I really do appreciate it. If you are concerned about the homes of Barnabas and Johnny, don't worry. Barnabas and Johnny still here. I'll figure out a way to get them back sort of like in the shot somewhere at some point here. But they don't have anywhere to sit anymore. So we'll figure that out before too long here, I promise. Also, announcement for everybody. We are coming up on the end of this year's Season 2. Season 2 has been a massive, like, growing season for me, and I really do appreciate it. In one major thing this weekend, this weekend here, this last weekend, we hit 250 subscribers on YouTube, which is phenomenal. That's so crazy. And I know it might not seem like a lot, but it means so very much to me, and I cannot thank you enough about that, or for that. It's been a really great sort of like building, learning kind of season for me. And so at the end of April ends on a Saturday, which means that Friday is going to be the last episode of Season 2, Good Morning Adventurers. And then I'm going to be taking the month of May, not off, because I'll need to, do some stuff. But Season 3 will kick back off in June. And by in June, I mean the very beginning of June. So stay tuned for that when it does come around to it. I will try to do a couple of random little things. I will be continuing to do Sunday brunch on Patreon and that sort of thing over the course of May. But if you are looking for more stuff, Season 3 is coming, I promise. But Season 2 is coming to an end here soon. We got 2 more weeks, including this one. So let's hopefully end on a high note. I'd enjoy that. Anyway, getting into what we're actually talking about today. Today, we're talking about character expectation subversion. Specifically, we're talking about early subversion of character expectations. And this really just sort of came about because over this last weekend here, I recorded a guest spot on a podcast that is going to be coming out. My section won't come out for a couple of months here, but I'm really excited about it. It was a lot of fun. It was so good to get to play with everybody. The podcast is coming together naturally. If you're interested in catching up before I make my appearance. But I had a lot of fun with it, and part of what I got to do there and have a lot of fun with is a quote-unquote early character subversion. I'm not going to tell you what I played, but I will leave it at nobody really expected my character to do what he did. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about subverting expectations for what your character is, what it can do, who they are as a person, in today here's episode. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that a little bit. So the most obvious one is, well, actually, sorry, let's not start there. Let's start a little bit further back. there are a couple of different ways to sort of subvert character expectations in 5th edition, in most mediums of storytelling, writing, screen, that sort of thing. I feel like the most common one is that big secret kind of thing. The one where, like, somebody's got a big secret, and you don't find out until the 2nd act or whatever. Something that is, like, just... Spoilers, Campaign 2 Critical Role, if you haven't seen it yet. Come back, skip forward about 15 seconds. So that, what I'm talking about there is, like, the not/Veth sort of thing, or the Caleb name kind of thing. That is the difference in that one that I'm talking about. That is your long-term character subversion there. That is what I mean when I say that. What I mean when I'm talking about short-term character subversion or early character subversion with this is I mean something that, like, is one of those fun reveals that you get to do early on. One of those fun little things that you just get to do way, way early in the campaign to really just sort of, like, drive home how interesting, one, your character can be, and two, just how fun D&D can be sometimes. And so, in my mind, while not necessarily having something crazy for, like, a long-term subversion. No, I said that all wrong. It's great to have something crazy for, like, a long-term subversion like that, but if you are only playing the single subversion the entire time, you're going to kind of get bored, or people aren't going to really care quite as much, is the reality of it. Like, there has to be something that keeps your character interesting other than just, ooh, I've got a secret identity, and nobody else knows what it is. And people are going to care as soon as they find out, and then they're not going to trust you for a while after that. But all the way up to that, people are just going to be like, oh, hey, it's that guy over there that's just hanging out. So you need to kind of, like, earn the payoff for that. And having some of these earlier / short-term subversions can do that. They're kind of like traps, though, at the same time, where, like, one is going to be something big, and it's going to feel almost unfair every once in a while. Too many is going to be like, okay, great, here comes another one, whatever. You want to have the right number of them in there. And so, what I'm talking about most specifically with that is more just like personality almost. The vibe that you can bring to your character. And so, my personal favorite to do is always... I almost always play small characters. I say almost always. I have not played a character that is not a small creature in a while here. And I really enjoy playing small characters because everybody looks at them and they go, oh, they're so cute. And one, they assume you're going to be some kind of spellcaster if you're playing a small character, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it means that if you are a martial class or something like that, and you come out and you just, like, wallop someone, everybody goes, oh, okay, sounds good, good for you. And then you immediately have this sort of, like, you watch everybody adjust their opinion of you, and by you I mean your character, at the table in the moment, and you're like, okay, this is what we're doing now, I guess. And I love that. That's a really fun thing for me. There is also the factor of, if you are a spellcaster and you're one of those small characters, everybody thinks it's hilarious right up until you, like, you know, blow a hole through a wall with a fireball, or you disintegrate somebody, or something like that. And then it's like, oh, okay, little man came to play. And so I really love being able to subvert expectations by doing these, like, powerfully built characters inside of these itty-bitty bodies. Because it's fun. Another really good one that I see a lot, actually, I don't play it as much. I understand and I love, like, a good tragic backstory and stuff like that. I played a tragic character, like, one time, and I like being the funny character significantly more. That doesn't mean that you can't be, like, hurting deeply and have some kind of deep-rooted trauma or something like that as a funny character, but the brooding thing, not really for me as a player, unless it is a very specific character choice that's happening. That said, good subversion could be you're, hey, the funny person in the party, you're, like, cracking jokes, you're sort of oblivious to stuff, something like that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I watched my entire family be captured and then taken on into experimentation for a wizard. I'm making all this up on the spot. Wherein he turned them into eldritch horrors. And everybody else goes, "Oh, are you okay, guy? You feeling all right?" Just like something where they are assuming this, like, "Oh, hey, look at him. He's so fun. He's such a fun little dude." And then, bam, all of a sudden, total tone shift there for, "Oh my God, this poor man is hurting deeply." The flip side of that, which is another really fun one to play with and get to see played with, is the like gruff, dark, angry kind of person who then likes like potted plants or like enjoys puppies or something. Like there's just something in there that just shows that they are like gooey inside, and you want to give them a hug then because you think that they really need it. So things like that are really, really awesome things to get to play with early on. Additionally, coming in with a personality that is a complete dichotomy to your actual character class. My first couple of characters naturally were characters that had they sort of lined up with the class, and they lined up with the traditional adventurer kind of sense. And since I've been DMing and since I've gotten to play a little bit more recently, I have found myself gravitating towards creating these characters that simply do not make any sense with the class that they are in. The character that I play on a show that should be coming out at some point coming up here, editing has become like a whole laborious process, and so it's been delayed a few different times, and we're working on making sure that it gets out, but also doing justice to the project and making sure that like everybody's taking care of themselves in the process, because nobody needs to be killing themselves to try and get this show out into the world. But the character that I play on it, eventually when it comes out, and I will be plugging it when it does come out, he's a druid. I love him so much, but he's a druid, and he doesn't really have anything to do with nature. He's a nervous, very much uncharismatic, like not like a leadership kind of guy at all, or anything like that. And that is kind of, and he's very high strung. That's the other thing. Like he's high tension all the time, and that is a total opposition to the sort of like traditional, quote unquote, almost view of druids, where they're like these like zen, out in the wilderness, out in the woods kind of thing. I used, I think, 3 spells maybe over the course of like 10 games that could be considered like wilderness type spell. Like I used like fire once, I think, but for the most part I didn't use any, like there was no speak with plants, there's no like tree stride, there's none of that stuff in there, nothing that you would normally associate with like, oh, this is solid druidic magic. He was a city kid, but he was a druid. Circle of the Stars. And so there was a lot of like radiant stuff that was happening and stuff like that. And it just getting to play into that idea of like, you don't have to be tied to the flavor in your subclass and main class in order to play an interesting and fun character. In fact, sometimes it's way easier to play an interesting and fun character if you are actively not doing those things that you would maybe normally be associated with as part of that class. And so that's really fun. I have begun to try and push that idea with pretty much every single character that I create now, which has it has led me to make a sort of string here of very nervous, babbly kind of characters, because your typical adventuring types, when you think like stereotypical adventure, is like the Aragorn, like brooding in the corner, smoking the pipe with the hood up, watching the halflings across the bar. I did that. It was fun. I enjoyed her. She is easily one of my favorite characters I've ever played, and holds a very special place in my heart. I keep her mini like in a very safe place, because she was my introduction to D&D. Not really the thing that I go for anymore. Now I play halfling or goblin, the bottom half of 2 goblins in a trench coat, who simply cannot, for the life of him, cook anything without potentially burning down the house. It's become something that I try and lean into. Try to subvert the expectations associated with the class early on, as well as maybe things that you wouldn't expect from somebody with the personality that I bring in my D&D characters now, because I think that it is way more fun to get to watch the other players around the table discover things about your character that you know, that aren't necessarily all like these heavy drops, this like, I'm on the run from a foreign government who's trying to kill me kind of thing. But instead is something like, I don't know how to use the stove. Because it leads to really, really fun roleplay moments. Plus, I've also found that I am the resident comic relief often. Not the only comic relief often, but oftentimes one of the resident comic reliefs, if not the only one. So it's just something that I really, really, really love to get to do. Yeah, I think that's mostly where we're going to stop on that one. Make sure you bake in some things to your character to have people discover. And that doesn't mean don't use any long-term ones that are crazy big, like the I'm on the run from a foreign government who's trying to kill me kind of thing. But, you know, have some in there where maybe you're on the run from a foreign government who's trying to kill you, but also, for some reason, you exclusively wear left shoes. And there's a reason for that they will find out eventually, or something like that. Or you're nervous all the time, but you are so nervous that you are disarming and incredibly charming. Like hide the actual mechanical things you can do behind a facade of total incompetence in that the appearance of incompetence in that area. That's what I want to say on that one, I think. So moving on from that, we have our shows for today. It is Monday, which means we have our extra long list of shows. Highly recommend checking out any of these people. We have, get the fingers ready, The Paper Dungeon, Chromatic Dice, Beyond the Realms, Unprepared Casters, Greetings Adventurers, Bards of New York, Hapless Heroes, Idean Adventurers, Cast Party, Three Black Halflings, Hello from the Magic Tavern, King Leo D&D, Anti-Heroes Anonymous, and The Tabletop Tavern. Please go check them out. Please show them your support. They definitely deserve it. And please let them know that I sent you, because again, someday, somehow, somebody's going to message me and say, hey, did you tell this person to watch my show? And I'm going to go, you know I did. And it's going to be just entertaining for me. I don't have anything better really than that to say about it. It's just, I'm going to enjoy it. And I think that is the most important part here, that I am enjoying this. Anyway, yeah, go check those out. They deserve your support for sure, 100%. People are putting a lot of work into these, and I highly recommend checking them out. But that is everything I have to talk to you guys about today. So thank you very much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much once again, in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that quite literally make this show possible. If you're interested in becoming one of my patrons, please check out the link in the description to this video. Also, my patrons, do not forget to be suggesting shows and voting for which show you want to see on Friday. We have 2 more of those this season, which means that there are 2 chances to make sure that you get your ideas heard for this season of GMA. So please go check that out and make sure that you're getting your ideas in and getting your stuff submitted. But as I mentioned, that is everything I have to talk to you guys about. So please, everybody, don't forget, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.